Hola, hola. Mamacitas y mamacitos. Thank you so much for being here in nuestro espacio Sachila, in a little corner where we talk about the movements that the planets are going to be making in 2025. Today's agenda is going to be April. And you know what? As I'm looking at the calendar and as I'm looking at my notes and everything that is going to feel really significant for this April, today we're going to do April 1st to the 15th. And then the next video is going to be from the 15th to the, I think, 30th. April has. I have a bunch of notes and I have no calendar, but that's okay. Because it's the beginning of April just feels really important, and I think that it's very significant. It's a lot of why people look for the information of astrology sometimes, because we're having a lot of true note movement. We're having a lot of once in a lifetime movement with Neptune and Aries, true note movement, and we're having a lot of conjunctions between planets and between the sun and planets, which is a big deal. So, again, I'm going to start from April 1st to the 15th, and then we're going to move into what are some of the biggest tips or what are some things that we need to consider with the movements, right? Because we're going to go by one, but we got to remember that these movements are obviously happening all at the same time and together. They're all forming like the context of what we're living and the context of our reality, right? And it's all happening at the same time, which means that the influence of what we need to do in order to take care of many things at the same time is also as important to talk about as the influence itself. So April 1st and April altogether, I feel like was a huge open door. It really, really opened hardcore with Venus conjuncting the true node. The true node. What is a true node? A true node is we're going to say an angle. A lot of people like to say it's made up, but I don't feel like anything's made up, right? If it has an influence on us. So it's an angle that the moon has that is basically a line, right? And it has a true node, which is where we're heading to, and a north node, right? And a south node, which is where we came from, what we know. So I believe that the true node or the north node is obviously our destiny, is what we are here to learn, what we're here to practice in this lifetime, is why we decided to come back and decided to basically implement, right, during this lifetime. The south node is basically your sister sign, right? It's the opposing sign of your sun sign. Oh, I mean of your north node sign. And that's the belief that of the energy of the south node is the belief of the things that we know from our past lives or the things that we are really good at from the age of 1 to almost like our first Saturn return, which is 30, right? When we do a lot of our growing up. I think it's important to mention that the north node or the true node is not something that because I know how the human brain works, right? Like it's especially if I'm giving you this information during Aries season, it's kind of like what is the list that I need to go through as the person that I am, so that I can get to my true node, my north node, the fast and the best as possible, and so that I can live the best life that I deserve, right? Yes, right. Like that's the energy that you do need to have, but that's gonna be basically an impossible task because a true node or a north node is not something that you get to. It's something that you experience throughout the lifetime that you have. So, not to get a little bit like, right? But we all know that death is true, right? In real. Death and transformation, right? Because it's not just like true physical death, but also the transformation of becoming something that you haven't been ever, right? With the decisions that you're making is very real. And which it only makes the true node, north node timeline even more real, right? Because it's necessarily not about, again, accomplishing something before you die, right? Or accomplishing something so you feel successful or accomplishing, right? It's the information that you get from your natal chart to basically know how to make the best decisions for the self, for where you want to be in the future as well, right? It's an important placement. It is a hugely important placement. Benito's here. And he wants to play. He doesn't want to come up. Vente? Yeah, I'm not going to play. So, so true note, right? Movements are going to feel like breakthrough life movements. They're going to feel major, right? Because the true note is doing a lot of conjunctions and sextiles with a couple of planets during April. So let's consider this, right? And I do want to start with the true note because I want to start with what happened in March and how that set us up with what's happening in April, and how that is going to be those are all going to be important movements to basically the rest of the spring and summer. So the true notes, right? The destiny, the manifestation of why we are here, the recommendation from a natal chart of the things that we need to do to be or to feel our best self, right? The most at peace, the one that is doing the things that feels like we are in the right path. Sometimes I feel like I really want to go deep into this, right? But sometimes it's just as simple as that. The North Node is your North Star. It's your guiding, right? So look up that North Node in your natal chart. Venus is conjuncting the North Node. So what is a conjunction? A conjunction is when two planets are from 0 to 5 degrees apart. And they're doing a beautiful harmony. They're working together to your benefit and to the benefit of the energy of which that planet is working with at that moment, because each planet has a placement. So the conjunction listing conjunción, right? And this is when numerology gets really important for those people who are wondering, right? Like, we got to remember that numerology is as integral and is as much part of astrology as anything else that we are talking about as a placement. It's basically what informs us what and how and why the planets are, what kind of work they're doing at the moment that we're experiencing them, the angles and the position of the angles, right? Like if it's a conjunction, if it's a sextile, if it's an opposition, if it's a square, all of those are angles. Think math, right? And it's super important, right? Because those of us, I mean, I'm Mexican, and I feel like in Mexico we really we really appreciate education, and we really take that as an ancestral inheritance. We know how important the passing down of knowledge as much as like the learning and the studying and the inspecting and the exploring. And this is really important when it comes to ancestral knowledge and indigenous knowledge, right? When we're talking about how is it that if you're going to sit here, that we're going to sit here together, right? And we're going to talk about a planet, and we're going to talk about how these planets are going to affect our community and ourselves and each other, and how is this applied otherwise? How has it evolved with us as indigenous people, right? The way that we talk about it. And science and math it's one big part of the way that we talk about our realities, right? And our astrology and our astronomy, which is a more of a scientific thing. Why is this important? What I'm saying is important because it very much has to do with our true note, right? It very much has to do with the things that we bring from past lives to this lifetime that we need to see finished, right? Because this is why, before I get ahead of myself, this is why it's important to talk about the eclipses that happen in March. A lunar eclipse in Virgo, and a solar eclipse in Aries, which is huge because it really set us up. Let's really talk about what a Virgo Aries conversation could be like, right? They're two very serious people. They take themselves very seriously. They're two lone, like the hermit and the ram. They're two I am people, very I am beings. But they're doing very different type of work when it comes to the self. So the conversations and the thoughts and the things that happened to the self during March was significant for a lot of people, if not everybody, if you're not too disconnected, from self and from spirit. And that 100% set us up for the month that April began with, and the month that April's going to be all the way to May, June, July, and August, because August is also having a lot of major direct movements that are going to be really, really good for humanity. And we need it, right? Because good is, I don't even think it's a thing right now for the type of like what we need as a community right now. So the major things that are happening during April is that Venus is moving direct in April 12th with the full moon in Libra, and that's gonna feel like a huge relief, because this Venus retrograde in Pisces and Aries has been tough for a lot of people. I get it. It lasted a long time, right? It lasted almost a month and a half. It gave you the time that you needed to really wallow at some point, right? Because some people started really good, I'm gonna do this, and then at some point it started to feel like it's going on forever, right? And we start to wallow on the thing, like on, I'm a Capricorn, so maybe it's just me, but we do tend to, with a Venus in retrograde, yes, because that Libra energy is like the king of overthinking, and that Venus Taurus energy is also the queen of let me do that later. Yeah, we had a lot of that. At the same time that, yes, we were doing a lot of work. It was a lot of tedious work that nobody wants to fucking do. Let's keep it real. Nobody wants to sit there and really basically look at the mirror of all the things that we could have done better, a little bit more organized, where we could have been a little bit kinder, where we could have had a little bit more energy, or maybe where we are just fed up because things are either not clean and beautiful in the way that I need them to be, or like where I'm just not having fun, right? And of course, who's not going to be tired of that energy at some point with, Venus retrograde? Who's not going to be exhausted with overthinking and having the work to come up? Because it wasn't just about the thinking of the things that we could have done better, right? Because it wasn't just that what we were doing. It was like the reflection of the things that we want to do better, which is really, I invite you to be in that place if you still feel the energy of dissatisfaction, when both Virgo and Taurus are in a shadow space of not feeling satisfied. So I invite you to definitely move into the what have I learned and what are the decisions that I made, because I don't want to find myself in this space again. And it very much has to do with the opportunities that we get in April, because April gives us all the forward movements of all the planets that were in retrograde during March, which includes Venus. So, and it's gonna feel cute, right? It's this Saturday. For a lot of people, it's going to feel cute. It's going to feel like a lot of good luck as well. Let's remember Jupiter is in Gemini, a Libra, full moon. It's beautiful. It's beauty. It's aesthetic. It's good foods. Go out with friends. Go out, enjoy. Go out, do something fun and new and artistic. And those of us who are from New York, just go to the places that are beautiful, that we deserve to be in. Right, because after being displaced and feeling like a true retrograde moment, right, when it came to all this Taurus and Mercury retrograde and Mars being in Cancer and Saturn doing all this work with Pisces at this moment, of course we're gonna feel displaced. We're gonna feel like, the feeling of like nothing that we do may be good enough, right? So what are the changes that we need to make in order for it to be different this time? We need this energy right now, no matter what sector of our community or of our family or of ourselves we're talking about. We need this energy because when it comes to Pisces and Aries doing work together, when it comes to the Venus, Mercury, Mars, Pisces, Saturn, all these things that are happening all at the same time, it very much has to do with support, with all the conjunctions. It has to do with having everything that you need. Think the Magician card in the tarot card. Right, having everything that you need in the table to make the changes that you want, because it's a desire. It's an Aries desire. It's a mission. It's a mission that you know you're gonna win because you already saw your competition and it ain't shit, right? Because there is nothing more powerful than an Aries who decided to change because their competition was themselves. And they didn't worry about anything or anybody. They didn't need permission from anybody. That is what Aries energy is. I don't need permission. I don't need you to tell me anything. Matter of fact, I'm not even really asking for your opinion. I'm just kind of here. You want to witness. You don't, that's fine. And when I say it's fine, I mean it, right? Like with all the sense of the word, it's okay when it comes to Aries. It's okay that other people don't agree. It's okay with them. And we need to lean into this energy of knowing, like, I'm going to defend the way that I feel faith. I'm going to defend the way that I connect to my faith, the way that I believe in my faith. You know what? And this is coming up a lot, of course, because of the true node work that the planets are doing. Of course, because of the work that Chiron is going to be doing in April. Of course, because the work that Venus and Mercury and Saturn are doing right now, all together when it comes to Pisces and Aries, right? Because we are only human, right? And in this human world, Venus and Mercury and Saturn rule things are very important to us, and we are in retrospect, right? Love, relationships, contracts, relationships with people who are basically like the relationships that cannot be transactional, right? The shift of what the transaction is. Relationships with those who are having a shift of power and a shift of resources. Relationships with things that we cannot control, right? Because we're also talking about Gemini energy, Mercury retrograde, and Virgo energy when it comes to a lot of health issues, right? A lot of people had a lot of health issues when it came to the eclipse. That in March, Virgo lunar eclipse in March, because a lot of our manifestation power comes from feeling steady, right? Not feeling well, because there are some people who do live with chronic illnesses who never feel well, who never not feel pain, right? But there is a level of steadiness at some point, and I don't know if maybe we need to use another word, but it's sureness of self that needs to happen, right? There are people who live with chronic illnesses who are, I'm not gonna say at peace because I can't speak for anybody, but who are doing everything that they can to control their sense of Venus energy and Mercury energy, which is movement and technology and integration to community and love relationships, the way that they're being represented, the way that they are being included or not included in the things that have to do with society when it comes to Saturn in Aquarius movement. We're seeing everything. We're seeing basically the Virgo side of what happens when we don't take care of the people who are vulnerable because of the world that we allowed to happen. It's a lot of true node work. It's a lot of Saturn karma work. Saturn in Pisces, retrospect of faith, retrospect of love, retrospect of the way that we, change religion and change the way that we practice our religions. That is all happening during this generation. It's all happening with the information that the true node conjunctions are going to give us during April, that the eclipses are going to give us in March, and we're going to have another pair of eclipses in September. So we're only in the in-between journey. I could be doing eclipse readings all year until September because it's truly that impactful, the eclipse movements that have to happen during 2025, because it's truly, there's a lot that needs movement during this time. So that was like the 1st of April, right? But of course I said a lot. Let me double check I'm not even typing. Hold up, y'all. Y'all know I'm a Capricorn. And I have notes everywhere. So Venus, that's in Pisces, retrograde in Pisces, conjuncts true node April 1st. A conjunction again is when two planets are basically the closest they can be together. The closest they can be together, from 0 to 5 degrees apart, basically. Sometimes they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're working together to the benefit of each other's energy and what the mission of that time is. April 4th, we have Mercury in Pisces, which at that time was retrograde, conjunct in the true node, right? So it's very much Virgo energy, Gemini energy, the ruler of, yeah, like basically everything that I have already mentioned, right? Like communication and the way that we learn. That's something that I didn't mention. The way that we learn and the way that we teach. Geminis are some of the best teachers of all time. This is why a lot of the people who are that have Gemini energy are artists, are people who are, constantly have a mic. I'm a rising Gemini, proud rising Gemini. I love my Gemini energy. Have a mic in front of them, right? Because we're just really good at communicating. We're really good at knowledge sharing. That's Mercury energy, and that's why a lot of people have a really hard time when it comes to Mercury going retrograde, because it's not necessarily that we're just saying all this outrageous shit all the time. No, it's more necessarily that our brain feels a little like confused, right? We don't really like it. Like our sense of self and our sense of thought and our sense of the way that we like to communicate, right? Like for those of us who be smoking, like have you ever had to try to have a conversation when you got like OD cotton mouth? Right? Like it feels like a fucking Mercury retrograde, right? Because it doesn't matter how important the thing it is that you're saying, it feels mad uncomfortable, right? It feels really uncomfortable. And at the end of the day, that energy, of course, as a generation, we're doing a retrospect because a lot of what our day to day has to do with communication. This is really the generation that's sharing a lot of knowledge and that's sharing it in every way possible with every tool that they have, and it's amazing, right? It's a really really good way to make sure that the things that need to be shared don't cease to exist, but it's also dangerous, right? We also know that when a Gemini doesn't feel well, it can be one of the most horrible fucking things energies, right? So April 4th, we also had Saturn, which is in Pisces right now, sextiling Uranus. So how to best explain like the sextile and the conjunctions and the trines, because these are the things that are coming up for April in a little bit more of as I attempt to do it a more visual way. So we have the planets, and we know that each planet orbits around the sun at its own pace with its own mission. And each planet is also basically in a line, right? Like first we have Mars, like we have the sun, then we have Mars, then we have this, and then we have that, and then at the end we have Pluto, right? Which means that they are all in a specific alignment to each other. When we have conjunctions, when we have sextiles and trines, is when planets meet each other. So you can imagine that we're all like orbiting around the sun, right? And we're all basically, this is one planet and this is another planet. Each distance, maybe each pace. Maybe this planet is in Aries, this planet is in Pisces, with different energies, right? Because those energies have a lot to do with why they would conjunct or why they would be in a sextile, right? Because we're really talking about the angle giving these two planets a specific energy according to the sign that they're in at that moment. So when we're talking about a conjunction, we're talking about planets being 0 to 5 degrees apart. So they're really close. and they are basically linked together. They're the closest that they can get, right? 0 degrees, 1 degree, 2 degrees, 5 degrees is the closest that they can get, and they are so close that they're basically doing the same work, right? The work that they're doing is in mission with each other, right? This is really important to note when it comes to a conjunction and the energy that is different from a trine and a sextile, right? Being linked together, being in a mission together is very different from uh, basically being in harmony together, which is what happens when we have a trine, right? A trine is when planets are 120 degrees apart and they're harmonizing, which means that we can think, for example, how well Cancer and Pisces harmonize, and their energies pretty much like the same things. They believe in the same thing, so they assert their energies very similarly, and that's a harmony, right? Whereas, for example, right now that Mars is in Cancer, we probably wouldn't call it that harmonious. Because it's a little bit more difficult for Mars to be in Cancer than it being the ruler of Aries. And so then when we have a sextile is when planets are 60 degrees apart and they are cooperating with each other, right? Like whatever it is that you're doing, I got you, and whatever it is that I'm doing, I got you. And like you let me know and I'll let you know, and maybe I'm on a mission which is over here and you're on a mission over there, but you know I got you, we're friends. I see you, I realize, or like, no, I support you however I can. That's a little bit of a sextile um energy. So April 4th, right? We had Mercury in conjunction with True Node. We had Saturn, it's sextiling Uranus, and we had Mars sextiling Uranus. We had Mars trining Saturn, right? So all of this again, positive movements that are cooperative, harmonizing, linked together, meant to do work together. They're all basically here in order to get you through this moment of true node revelations. And a lot of this, for example, Venus is in Pisces, Mercury in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, and the true node in Pisces. So of course we're doing a lot of retrospect and a lot of work, which is gonna be moving forward April, right? All everything that we think about right now, right? Because Mercury went direct today, right? April 7th. Everything that we worked on in March, when it came to thinking about ourselves, thinking about family, community, thinking about our faith, thinking about our rituals, thinking about our health, thinking about thinking, because it was also Gemini energy, right? It's all basically now being put to use with this sextiles and conjunctions and trines, right? Because it's like the energies that we know are our best energies, the things that we know that we want to move forward. We have already closed some cycles that needed to be closed, so it's like we come forward to this mission a little lighter, with less baggage, with less confusion, with less things to do on our to-do list. Because if you need to make decisions and if you need to be doing something that needs to happen before A, B, and C moment needs to happen, then um, it's another thing to do, right? On your to-do list. So of course, you want to be, as you know, the task on your list, the things that you need to do need to be as light as possible for you to take on hard tasks like True Note, right? And of course, the other thing that is also going to take up a lot of our energy that we don't necessarily have to like rush to right now, but we do need to be aware of, is Neptune in Aries, where we're going to be Neptune in Aries for the next 14 years. That's how significant this energy is going to be. It's going to take time, and it's going to be significant enough for it to be part of your society, community, life, habits, changes, future. And at the same time, it's significant right now because this energy is a whole new energy that people have not felt in this lifetime and for like 165 years. So it's new, and for a lot of us that believe, right, in the evolution and everything that needs to be done in order to move forward, it's almost like a miracle energy, right? Like this is I'm glad that it's happening during a heavy time of Pisces, because I know that a lot of the things, like when we mean people haven't felt this energy in our lifetime, we mean we are about to witness things that we haven't witnessed in this lifetime. We're about to see how people are, how people become. In our lifetime, we haven't seen that. In our lifetime, right? We haven't seen that. And all of that is important because it has to do with the reflections and the knowledge that we gained in order to make decisions about our true note, right? Who do we become at the end of this life? All has to do with the decisions that we make, right? And how intuitive those decisions were throughout our life, where we in conjunction with ourselves, right? Where we actually, right, linked in terms of like mind and spirit. Did we do the thing that we actually believed in, or did we do the thing that was maybe easiest because we were angry, or easiest because we weren't as interested? Whatever it was, right? Maybe it wasn't easy at all. Maybe I took the really hard route, and maybe it didn't pay off as much as I thought it would. So all of this, of course, is as deep as I'm saying it because it's true node work, Pisces work in Pisces. So if true note wasn't already the work of the moon, which is reflection of self and spirituality and belief in religion and in ritual and the things that we know for lifetime and lifetime and lifetime, the it being in Pisces, it only basically exalts it, and it makes it even more significant in that one specific way, right? Like truly the planets and the true note right now and them to want you to consider what your faith is and how do you put your faith into this planet, how do you manage that energy. I know y'all saw that lady get punched in the face doing her little interview in the street, right? Because mismanaging her faith or so-called faith. That's gonna happen. It's Aries season. If she'd watch, I mean, whatever. I'm not even gonna talk about that. Anyways, so April 4th, we had a lot of movement. Again, today's April 7th. April 6th, we had a sun, which is in Aries, sextile Jupiter, which is in Gemini, which is we're still feeling this energy, right? When we're talking about like the planets making a movement at a specific date, that's just the date the energy is exalted and we feel it and it like moves into it, so it begins, right? But we feel this energy for the rest of the month. Or some energies we feel it for 2 years, for 3 years, for 160 years, for 14 years, right? It depends on which planet we're talking about. But this Jupiter in Gemini right now, doing sextiling the sun in Aries is good luck, baby. It's good fucking luck. Jupiter in Gemini hasn't happened in a really long time. Which I know that a lot of people feel like we sound like broken records, like once in a lifetime opportunity. This is but it truly just is, right? And we know that these things don't only happen in terms of like gain, but some of us are witnessing things that we have never seen in our lifetime that are horrendous. So Jupiter in Gemini is definitely giving us the opportunity to manifest positively, right? Gemini being in Mercury and us going forward in April, right? Today, it's allowing us a space to one share knowledge that we learn all through our retrospect, right? Share everything that knows fed our spirit, just in hopes that other people can also feel affirmed and confirmed with the ways that they feel their spirit during this time. And think all things Gemini. If Gemini is important to us as it is, because it has to do with the way that we think, the way that we learn, the way that we manifest, the things that come up in our mind and the things that we say and all of that. Also, right, like communication when it comes to word and written communication, we know can have the energy of lifetimes, right? That's all Jupiter, the ruler of expansion and luck and bravery, right? And childlike fun, right? Because the ruler of Leo, right? The group like mind, the one that likes to see their friends, defend their friends, right? Love on their friends more than defend their friends. The one that really loves and respects their friends and is proud to be part of that group with their friends and their family and all of that. All of that is in Gemini right now, while the sun is in Aries, and they're doing a cute, cute cooperation, right? So let's definitely think time to think about who we are in community, right? How we show up. And I know I've said this before because this is also very Libra oriented, very Libra eclipse. Time to think community, time to think relationships. But when it Libra is relationships one on one, really one on one, very intimate. Whereas Leo, Jupiter, Gemini, Aries, right? Energy, Jupiter and Gemini has to do with community, right? Like, think about even like I'm part of a family. Yeah, like I'm an individual in a family, and then my family is part of a community, right? So go have fun with your friends. Go out there, meet new people, take new chances. This is really gonna be fucking dope when it comes to Jupiter and Gemini because it's all about go out there and give yourself the opportunity to learn new things, right? Because it's also Aries, and Aries is doing all these returns and all this movement of these planets in 0 degrees, which is really encouraging to do something new, open a new door, and be brave about it, be fearless about it. Don't be be cute about it when it comes to Aries. Then on April 6th, we also had Venus trine Mars, which is in Cancers, and Mars is gonna move forward soon into Leo, and Mars is doing its last leg of work when it comes to the everything that has to do with the defense of home and nurturing and the expectations that we have of ourselves when it comes to our home and the way that we feel like we need to be treated by others and the way that we feel others should come into our spaces and all of that had to do with Mars and Cancer, and it was tough. I know people were uncomfortable. Mars was more uncomfortable than you, but it stayed until in Cancer until it got its duty done. And Venus is doing, because Venus is also doing its last leg in Pisces right now before it moves forward or again into Aries, right? They're doing a trine. They're a little bit farther from each other, 120 degrees, but they're taking up. When we're talking about 120 degrees, we're talking about just taking up more space, right? To harmonize, to make sure that this energy that they're both working with, which is Pisces and Cancer energy, right, actually gets to the point of being beneficial, even if you're uncomfortable, which is gonna be fucking dope. Let's just think about that. Let's think about how uncomfortable certain conversations have, some feelings, some things have been, and finally you get a little bit of like, okay, so I see why this happened, at very least, and that maybe that helps me think about things differently. And this is, and then on the 7th we have Venus. Venus is working overtime. So if you're a Libra, if you're a Taurus, make sure that you're taking care of yourself by resting. Because you are doing a lot of work, and then Libra and the eclipse, and then Taurus season is coming. Rest, 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 rest. And also rest by having fun, right? And the rest is not just like laying. April 7, Venus in Pisces conjuncts Saturn, who's also in Pisces until May. Right? So again, if you're a Pisces right now, I know you cannot rest that much because you're at the last leg of your work, and it may people move, planets move forward, and you can put things down. Right now, I'm gonna say if you're a Pisces, this is the last, right? Like this is the last of the things that you need to get done on that list. You've made it. It's basically, the last fucking semester. So it's not time to give up, baby. It's time to finish and finish nicely, right? Finish on fucking top. Because it has to do with Saturn. And then Venus and Uranus on April 8th, sextiling, right? So let's not forget, as we're moving or we're doing all these movements, they're all cooperating. They're all good movements, right? They're all doing things that are basically giving you the moment of, okay, so after I like went into the well of my own tears and my own thoughts, now I can see clearly, right? I can come out and I can see why those thoughts were beneficial, and why I get to make a decision if this is true or not, right? So Mercury is again doing another conjunction on the true node on April 10th. Then on April 11th, we have Mars in Cancer doing a trine with the true node. So this is a little bit of different from the ones that we've been talking about, which was Mercury and Venus, and this is Mars energy with the true node. Mars that is in Cancer, the last days, the last week before it moves into Leo in the true node, which is very much like, yo, y'all not better fucking like fuck up what I did the last, you know, months that I was in Cancer, because that shit wasn't easy. It's very much that energy, just feeling intensely like that energy, because it has a lot to do with the true node, and then Mercury also doing true node work on one day before, and then the sun that is in Aries conjuncting Shirian on the 12th. That's gonna be so important because Shirian is the planet. It's a small planet between Saturn and Uranus, and Saturn, Uranus, right? Shirian, true node. It all has to do with destiny. Eclipses all have to do with destiny. Why are we here? What is our mission? Can we remember? Are we reminded what we're good at, where we're comfortable, emotionally, physically, spiritually? Do we find a community that fulfills us? Do we remember that people love us? Right? That's all Shirian work. Shirian work has to do with the things we need to heal. Right? It highlights where your wounds are, where you're, where you don't really like, you don't like talking about that thing, right? Even if you doing the work willingly and everything, there's things that we really, really are painful to us. And that's why it's connected to the true node, right? Because it has a lot to do with the way that we heal things, create the context of where we're going in our future. So to finish this off, because I know that I've gone for longer, I'm gonna end on the 12th, which is the day. It's gonna be a really important day, because as I was just saying about the information that Shirian's gonna bring in when it conjuncts. Sorry, I have my computer here. When it conjuncts the sun, which is in Aries on the 12th, it's gonna be the same day that Venus goes direct, and that we have our full moon in Libra. So this is gonna be a tremendous day. We're gonna feel like a lot of the things that we're doing have a lot to do with our long-term goals and future. When it comes to Libra, we're probably gonna feel like really beautiful, and see a lot of aesthetically pleasing things, and a lot of beautiful things, beautiful people, beautiful places, beautiful smells. So yes, all this work that's being done with the true node is gonna be super significant, and the sun is basically joining all of it. So to end, what are the things that may come up, right, during all this movement in April, right? The very least from April 1st to the 12th, and then basically all of April. You may find yourself in situations where you're confronted, right? Because this very much has to do with the things that you've been avoiding making decisions on, avoiding making movement on, avoiding closing or ending, avoiding opening or starting. And this is very much a confrontation of self, right? And the good news, right, is that as I just spent like an hour explaining, all the planets are doing the work of supporting you, right? Everything is in conjunction, in sextile, in trine. Everything is harmonizing, everything is cooperating, everything is linked together in order for your success. So if you actually put your mind, body, spirit into the things that in your soul need to move forward, right? Especially under the light of the full moon, right? Let's very much think and have the opportunity to end things, right? With this full moon in Libra, things that feel fair and justice to yourself, to your life. As I'm saying Libra, let's put on some lip gloss, right? It's also like, what are things that are gonna make you feel beautiful? Sometimes it's not even necessarily justice like in the biggest of ways. Sometimes it's just like, oh, justice in the way that I can come back to myself and feel beautiful, feel hot, feel wanted, feel in relationship, feel in community, feel feel, right? Because it's also about Venus. You may also have some kind of health issue caused by repressed emotions, right? Because if by this time that we have done all this work in eclipse, that we have done all this true node work, right? Because yes, Neptune is in Aries, and all these other planets are doing conjunction and square and sextile and trine work. Things are gonna come up, right? That you have to address, right? That's sometimes when especially when it comes to um, Mercury going direct. The third one that I found that was important to mention is that you might find yourself letting go of things you thought you wanted, and even though you don't want it anymore, you may still feel the grief from it, right? Maybe you feel some type of nostalgia of maybe who you were or who you could have become or what you could have done or an opportunity that maybe you didn't take full on or it, the energy of it now is that it doesn't necessarily matter as much to you, but you do feel the grief, right? You do feel the sense of the thing that is being let go. And where do I put, the energy of something that maybe wasn't working out, I didn't want? Maybe, it's an energy that I enjoyed for a very long time, but now I'm kind of done with it. Like, where do I put it? Like I'm ready to let go of it, but I still feel a little bit of grief. Like, where and how do I understand that grief? This is, these are moments that may come up right now because this is a deep retrospect when it comes to all this true note in Pisces, right? It's going to help you think about your future, in a deep, deep, responsible, mature way. And we recommend, of course, that this be a time you follow your intuition because no one is gonna make uh, the best decisions for you but you. Right? This is a time where Aries is really asking you to be brave about the things that you believe in and to be ready to defend them, right? To be ready to be fearless and unapologetic about the things that you know are true to you. And it very much had to do, you come forward with these decisions with the context of everything you learned about yourself during this Virgo eclipse and this area eclipse moments, which is no easy task. So when you're actually putting boundaries and you putting rules around the relationships that people want to have with you, right? Libra and full moon, Venus direct, or the contracts that people want to have with you, or the way that people want to be in balance or unbalanced with you, this should include everything that you have learned and what you feel intuitively now, today, moving forward. Not 10 days ago, not a year ago, not five. We are not the same people after the eclipses. This is a perfect time for you to incorporate yourself into the communities you have nurtured. And this is very me being very Saturday in Pisces right now because this is very much a time where some people recognize or realize that they don't have a community because they didn't take the time to nurture those around them. And now that they're feeling that response, right? Um the thing about this is that the Libra full moon and the Venus going direct and Mercury going direct and Mars going in Leo is all a perfect fucking salsa for you to go out there and rectify this if this is what you want, right? To reconnect with friends, to make new friendships, to create new habits that feel fun, that feel beautiful, that feel good on the body and on the soul, and that are going to create a community that you can nurture. Right? It's not about like, oh my God, like I've actually been isolating myself and you rabbit hole into that thought. No, it's like, oh, so I've had a little bit of an isolative moment in my life and now I'm ready to incorporate myself back into my chosen community. And this is a good time. This is a good time for it. And of course, lean in to what feels spiritually well to you. Tap into that Aries energy, right? To give you the support that you need in order to make your dreams come true. Because this Pisces Aries energy, with this Mars in Leo energy, this true node energy, this Shirian energy, it's all gonna make us like think about what do we like, yes, what do we want for our future, but also that includes what are our passions, what would make, wouldn't this be cool? Wouldn't, if I did this and this shit took off, would it be cool? That's all this is really heavy on that energy of like, think about your dreams, think about what you love, think about what makes you feel full spiritually, physically, in every aspect of your life that you feel full, that you feel that needs to feel, that you want to fulfill. This is a good time to think, to dream, to dream. And then Aries is going to give you because also Neptune energy, yes, we can dream and we can dream big, and sometimes we dream so big that it's unrealistic, right? But this Aries energy is really going to place us um where we need to be, with the balance, right, of Libra, of saying, okay, this is what I dream and this is what's possible about that dream. So like, please, dream, document, write things down, record yourself, do the things, right? Like, believe in yourself, believe that your dreams can actually create that change that you think it can create, because that's the only way that these things can become, right? And even if they don't, especially if they don't exist yet, right? Because we're also talking about Neptune in Aries, and if you're dreaming about something that doesn't even exist in this, or hasn't been done the way that that you're dreaming it up in your mind, don't underestimate yourself and how much impact that can have. Right? This is also a time where we recognize that we have desires, and that we also recognize that we have more than one desire, right? And it's giving us the opportunity to kind of like, where do you want to lean in, where you want to put your effort into, because that's, with Neptune in Aries, that's what you can concentrate on maybe for the next 14 years and get really good at. And of course, it's going to feel like a really good mission, right? It's going to feel awesome. And when we say give yourself the support, we mean ingest everything um, that feels like it's going to nourish the soul and the spirit, not just the foods that you're ingesting, but also the things that you're listening to, the things that you're watching, the spaces that you're putting yourself in. Especially if people, like, if you have to go to work and you fucking hate it and you can't escape this space, it very much has to do with like, you know, basically, what do you do to create balance between being in a space that you don't really like and then knowing that needs to be healed almost, right? By something that you do every day as well. Because if you're doing something every day that you don't like, then you need to have a ritual of Venus and Mercury, right? Fun and love and pleasure that you could possibly work on for the next couple of years, right? It doesn't necessarily have to do something that you know how to do right now. Actually, it might be even more beneficial if it's something you don't know how to do right now, and if it's something completely new, it might be funner. The other recommendation is share the ways that you take care of yourself with those that you love, so the ritual of care can become a community ritual. Because Jupiter is in Gemini and it gives us the opportunity to bring luck to others. Sometimes we do things forever that are supernatural to us, that are super a habit. We learned it from home and we teach it to others, and it makes all the difference in their health, in the way that they feel pleasure, in the way that they feel beautiful, in the way that they communicate. Maybe sometimes your friends are really good at one thing that you really need to get done for your project to get done, but you're not really good. This is about that. This is about sharing the rituals that are working with others, so that they can also work for them. And expand the good things in your life by communicating them to those you love as well. This is a good time. This is a good time for that. And keep your spaces as organized as possible. And I know this because some people have a hard time with this. I know some people work full-time work jobs. Some people have babies. Some people have different just ways of being every day, and it's not possible. But this is why it's a recommendation, right? It's going to make things easier for you if you don't feel the pressure of things being disorganized, right? And having to do something before you need to get other things done that are more important than the organizing, right? But this is very much has to do with taking care of the beauty around you, taking care of your home if you have one, right? This is so important to thank your home, to say thank you, I'll be back if you come back, and then to say thank you for taking care of me, for and putting beauty around it as best as we can. This is a good time to do that, right? With Libra, all this Libra work and this Taurus work and this Gemini work and this Virgo work and all this work that we're doing with all the beauty that these planets are gifting us right now. It's a good time to also think about your spaces, right? As best as possible, as best as possible. Lean into chosen family and take the time to listen to their desires. This is really important, right? Because this is as they come up this season, as your desires come up this season, they will also come up for the people that you love, and the way that you can incorporate yourself into those desires can be really exciting during this time that we're trying to build a new Pluto in Aquarius world, Neptune in Aries, that is like about civic rights, right? A movement, and the I am, and the I love, and the I believe, and the I have faith. And this is a really good time to release stereotypes about people, right? And embrace the new opportunities to finally do the things that you've been planning with others by believing them, right? Like this is a time where people will have new energy. And even, maybe you have the friend that's been saying for 1,000 years that they're going to be doing this and they're going to be doing that. This is a time to encourage that if it's coming up again. Maybe the friend that has the 1,001 idea had the 1,002 idea. The 1,002 idea is gonna hit, and you wanna be supportive, right? Because in the least, we can say that you want support back, which is a little transactional, but fair. The other is that it's just a beautiful fucking thing that comes basically out of our souls to just be kind and supportive to our friends and our families and ourselves. It's just one of the most beautiful Neptune energies. Beauty. Beauty Libra energy, right? So this is a really good opportunity to do that. And the other one that's going to help you tremendously to manifest, right? Because this all has to do with engaging in ritual, which again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, right? Your anointment oils, making sure that your santitos, that everything that you believe protects you is in your prayer, and that you actually open up the oil and you put it on, right? Your copales, right? That you're actually cleansing and cleaning the things from bad and heavy energies, and that you're cleansing and cleaning yourself from bad and heavy energies. Engage in body movement, right? And lean into the body movement that feels fun, right? To you. Nothing that feels painful, nothing that feels heavy, nothing that feels too much for the body. We love you at Jovita y Esperanza. We love you at Jovita y Esperanza. And all the remedios that we make are with the best intentions to also support you through the movements that the planets are making and through the year as well. So we have a lot of like Levántame and Bendíceme oils, copales that have to do with like like being uplifted and, being participant. And we have evil go away, right? So, and I'm specifically talking about these remedios because these are things that you can also use, tools that you can also use to the benefit of your best spiritual practice, right? When we're talking about candles, we're talking about like this remedio that heats up the body and that takes care of the aches and pains of the physical body, in order for us to basically have some time to think about our emotional state. Things that can support us in our prayer, in our ritual, in our altar, right? That can also be good for our skin, can be good for the way that we feel beautiful, the way that we feel taken care of. That is all Venus and Taurus energy. So yes, I'm plugging myself in because I feel like the products that we make are beautiful and useful. And at the same time, look for all those things that feel like tools to you to make you feel centered, to make you feel like the whole entire universe that you truly are, right? Especially during this time. Today's April 7th. We only spoke about from now to the 12th, which is basically the end of this week. Take advantage of this week by applying anything, right? That maybe you picked up on today. And just by the smallest change, of path can basically like create the momentum that we need in order to kind of like change the whole way. So take care. We are so proud of how far everybody has come, and we know that these movements can feel very tough for some people. And we know that you got it because you're trying your best. Thank you so much for being here. Los quiero mucho, mucho, mucho.